Use the power of discovering new habits to create success in all areas of life. Body, fitness and nutrition, being, spirituality, passion and purpose, balance, marriage, kids and relationships, business, marketing, sales, leadership and systems. Transform your life by learning how habits work. And now your host, husband, father, entrepreneur, trainer, coach, and warrior, Jesse Ewell.
Welcome back to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Ewell, and today we're going to be talking about the habit of the 40% rule. For some reason this week, I'm stuck on percentages. So last episode, if you were listening, we talked about the 1% rule and getting better 1% or moving forward one step every single day and how that would improve your life. But today I wanted to talk about the 40% rule. Well, the first time I heard about this, I was in a program back in 2016. I believe it was March or April of 2016. I decided with a group of friends to do a program called 20X. And then about 4 or 5 months later, I did another program called Kokoro, which if you don't know about it, you're up for 53 to 55 hours straight. If you include the night before, which you barely sleep because you're so amped up about the next day, it seems like you don't sleep for about 70 some hours. But as we were getting trained down in Vail Lake by these Navy SEALs, they would break us down and they would start yelling these things at you like, hey, you're only 40% of the way there. And at the time, it felt like you were ready to break. At the time, it felt like you were done. And then you have some guy yelling at you, hey, you're only 40% of the way there. And you're thinking in your mind, you're like, dude, I'm ready to like quit right now. That means that you have 60% left to go. And so as these guys started to train us on this and started to talk about this, it made you realize that, hey, man, I actually do have a lot more than I thought. And it made you kind of shift your mindset from the current pain you were facing and the current pain you were in and start focusing on, I'm not even halfway there. Literally, like I'm not even halfway where I could be. And it kind of got you to push to this new place, this new potential. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because I came across a post, I think it was a day or two ago, and it was about David Goggins. And he had a picture, and on that picture it said, you're only 40% of the way there. And if you don't know who David Goggins is, he is a Navy SEAL, retired Navy SEAL, who wrote a book, Can't Hurt Me. And this guy lost, over 100 pounds almost in 6 to 8 weeks. He's run the toughest races, and he's done some very amazing things physically and mentally in his life. But I wanted to give you just kind of a standard definition. They talk about research. It suggests that this statement, the 40% rule, does have some truth to it. We are often physically more capable than we perceive ourselves to be. I can definitely agree with that. And when you get around people who have pushed themselves physically far more than you have, there's a natural tendency to push yourself farther than you ever had. Meaning why they've created these programs like 20X or created these programs like Tough Mudder. They've created these programs like Kokoro, also Go Ruck Tough. Is these events, you begin to push yourself physically more than you've ever, been capable from in your life. Now, researchers also found that subjects who were giving placebos but told it was something else, in this particular case, it was caffeine. And you've read other things where people have literally given aspirin and people were able to lift significantly more than what they were really given. And so what they perceived they were given, they actually began to physically work at a higher level. They were able to actually push themselves. So as this goes on, there's this reserve tank inside of you and inside of I that we never really get to tap into. And this got me to think about the 40% rule. We give guys like David Goggins, rightfully so, some serious credit. And I've used this in my own life, being like, man, I finished Kokoro. I'm a badass. I've done this, I've done that. I've done some events. I've played some college football, but there's a reserve tank in you and I that we never actually really tap into. And only by pushing ourselves to this limit and then breaking them do we actually really reach that full potential. And so this reserve tank that you and I have that we never actually really tap into to reach our full potential, that is a way for us to really tap into this new place. And so while you're listening to this, I want you to think of a certain way. Your mind will tell you that you're done. You are capable of so much more than you think you are. And just in that place, you're really only about 40% there. And people talk about, hey, it's done in a physical setting, running, lifting weights, or doing these events, having coaches yell at you, and you're only 40% of the way there. But I want you to think of this, because just because you learn this rule in a physical setting doesn't mean that we can't apply it somewhere else. And so imagine if you take that same physical setting and you leverage that into another area of life, because I really believe the definition of learning is when we can leverage the learning and put it into another area of life. If we just learn it in our physical state of being, we can only leverage it in that physical state of being. And although that's super powerful, imagine if we can use this and leverage this in other areas of life, such as business, such as your marriage, your relationships, your parenting, such as just how you feel on a day-to-day basis. After all, think about this. Let's just say we have a couple. This couple is arguing, they're fighting, they're not getting along. Have you ever been there? Could you imagine getting into an argument or disagreement with your spouse? Maybe you want to have sex. And at some point, one of you wants to leave or be done, or, something happens and you're arguing, and it's like some coach out of nowhere yells, hey, you're only 40% of the way there. You still have 60% to go. Could you imagine getting to a place in a relationship where you're about to possibly get divorced? And instead of your attorney saying, hey, yeah, we can help you with that, they actually say, you know what? You're only 40% of the way there. Once you get to 90%, come back to me and then I'll write this up. But we believe that we are 40% there. When we're 40% there, we're actually 100% there. But here is the reality of this. You can put yourself through a lot of physical pain. You can put yourself through and push yourself beyond that physical threshold. But imagine if you could leverage this inside of your marriage. I know there's a lot of moms out there, CEO moms, who stay at home with their kids all the time, and sometimes they just feel like they don't have it. They don't have it in them. But could you imagine someone saying, hey, listen, mom, you're only 40% of the way there. You still got 60% to go. You got enough. You got more in the tank. Keep pushing yourself. And could you imagine being able to leverage this inside of your business? How many times in business do you feel like quitting? Do you feel like giving up? Or maybe you even do give up or quit. But could you imagine someone saying, hey, man, Your marketing's only 40% of the way there. Your clients are only 40% of the way there. They have so much more inside of them. You have so much more inside of you. Keep pushing. Keep going. Don't give up. Because here's the lesson. Only by pushing ourselves to our limits and then breaking them can we truly reach our full potential. Let me say that one more time. Only by pushing ourselves to our limits and then breaking them can we reach our full potential. And you could apply this to your relationship. Only by pushing yourselves to your limits inside of your marriage and then breaking them can you reach that full potential in your marriage. Only by pushing yourselves to your limits inside of parenting and then breaking them can you truly reach your full potential. Only by pushing yourself to your limits inside of your business and then breaking them can we reach our full potential. And all of these require you to push yourself. Not push your spouse, push yourself. And then it requires you to break the pattern, break the story. Maybe where you'd normally give up, maybe where you'd normally run away, maybe where you'd normally fight back to reach your full potential. Think about that and let that sit with you for a second, because we are all powerful people who are capable of so much more in our lives if we just lean into this 40% rule. Where in your life do you need to begin to apply this 40% rule? And dig in. Push yourself beyond your current limits to really begin to reach your full potential. Maybe it's inside of your fitness. Maybe it is a physical side of you. Maybe it's a spiritual side of you. Maybe it's a relational side of you. And maybe it's even a business side of you. It could be a combination of all of them. But imagine if you could leverage this 40% rule into any of these areas. How much more powerful could you be, and how many things could you push yourself through? And the next time you think that you're ready to give up, that you're ready to quit, think about being only 40% of the way there. So I want to thank you guys for being on this episode today. I hope you got some value. If you are looking to connect further with a group of like-minded people, join myself and so many others in the Habit-Based Lifestyle Secrets group on Facebook, where I will be dropping daily habits to help you live to your full potential. If you want to be one of our next case studies and begin living this habit-based lifestyle, feel free to reach out to me, Jesse at habitbasedlifestyle.com. Until next episode, have a great day.